New reporting from the New York Times and NBC News indicates that Donald Trump asked the Prime Minister of Australia to help him look into the origins of the Russia investigation in an attempt to discredit Mueller's Russia investigation. So the call was to Scott Morrison, who is the Prime Minister of Australia. And according to NBC News, the call to Scott Morrison, the Australian leader, came recently after Attorney General William Barr in May asked John Durham, the US attorney in Connecticut, to lead an inquiry into whether the FBI's investigation into the Trump campaign was properly predicated. The DOJ official said Barr asked Trump to make the call to seek Australia's help. So William Barr is involved in this. Also, NBC News is reporting that a White House official responded to these allegations, saying it was asking his law enforcement to work with ours. There really wasn't anything more to it. Now, according to two officials who spoke to the New York Times, the whole purpose, again, was to discredit the Russia investigation. The White House also restricted access to the call's transcript to a small group of the president's aides. One of the officials said, an unusual decision that is similar to the handling of the July call with the Ukrainian president that's at the heart of the House Democrats' impeachment inquiry into Trump.
So let's separate out two different issues. One is trying to investigate his current political opponents like Joe Biden, and that was the heart of what happened with Ukraine. In Australia, he's going back to the 2016 election. Now, he also did that with the Ukrainian president when he asked about CrowdStrike and about some mythical server that he thinks is in Ukraine that has Hillary Clinton's secret emails, as well as Al Capone's vault and the island of Atlantis. Okay, they're all apparently in Ukraine. So anyway, but he cares about his political opponents today to get dirt on them, to sabotage their campaigns. That's obviously problematic and illegal. Now going back to 2016, there's a range there, right? So if remember that Papadopoulos started all this because he was a staffer on Trump's campaign. And he's talking in a bar in London with an Australian diplomat and says, we know that the Russians have Hillary Clinton's emails. And so that triggers the diplomat to go back to Australia and say, one of the two American campaigns appear to be possibly working with the Russians on this 2016 election. So the Australians call the FBI and say, hey, heads up, one of the two campaigns is potentially working with a foreign government, the Russians. Okay, so that's why Australia is relevant. That's why Trump and Barr are barking up that tree. And so their effort in that case, now let's go from most benign to most problematic. Benign is, hey guys, we already know the diplomat's name, so that's not an issue that had the conversation with Papadopoulos. But what was your process and why did you call the FBI? And was that the right process? Now, if you were a normal administration, that kind of call with Australia might be fine, right? Hey, we're just double checking to make sure we got the right process in place. We got a new election coming up, and we want to make sure that if you guys hear anything about other campaigns working with China, Russia, or anywhere else, you communicate that to us, right? Now, the most problematic is, who are the people who turned us in? Okay,
right.
And is there anything that could be done about it? Maybe you do us a favor though, right? Like in the Ukraine call. So, but by the way, it's Trump's mania because who gives a damn about what happened in 2016 at this point? I mean, if Mueller's investigation comes back up in the impeachment as it should, and his obstruction charges are relevant, well, but this would only add to your obstruction charges. You're so stupid.
He is.
Yeah, and you can't help yourself. But really, reaching out to Australia, all you're doing is stirring up a hornet's nest for no reason. I can't see how that could possibly help you politically.
So you're absolutely right in that he's not very smart and doesn't really think through the possible consequences if he reaches out to the Prime Minister of Australia. But understand something. What he's doing in the case of the Australian Prime Minister is actually pretty similar to what he tried to do with the president of Ukraine. The whole purpose is to help him in the upcoming election, right? So in a different story related to the investigation, again, he is reopening the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails, right? The whole reason why he's doing that, and according to a White House official who spoke to the press, is because he wants to latch on to Hillary Clinton's emails again for this upcoming election and also try to discredit the Russia investigation as a way to drum up his base and get them, rowdy and excited. So reaching out to Australia was his effort to find dirt on the Russia investigation that he can use for his re-election campaign. Everything he's doing is to benefit himself. The only issue is, and it's only an issue for him, I think it's great, is that he's an idiot and he doesn't understand that this type of information is gonna come out.
Yeah, so I guess if you're in the conspiracy mind of the Trump Giulianis of the world, you think maybe I can get Australia to admit that they worked with the Democrats to try to, sabotage my campaign in 2016, even though they were not actually concerned about us working with the Russians, or they didn't hear from Papadopoulos that we were working with the Russians, and they just made it up because Hillary Clinton asked them to. He doesn't understand, because he thinks like that. He doesn't understand how improbable that is for Hillary Clinton to have done that. Because I'm not saying that it's improbable that she would be corrupt. I'm saying it's improbable that she would be as shallow a thinker as Donald Trump, that she would go to Australia, but could you make up that Trump's campaign is working with the Russians? She's far more sophisticated than that. So you're not gonna find that information. Right. Instead, what you're gonna do is add another obstruction charge. So
awesome.
Here we are.
Yeah, have at it. And I wanna reiterate one other thing. He hasn't actually accomplished anything for his base. I mean, he's accomplished something for millionaires and billionaires with these tax cuts for the wealthy, but when it comes to building the wall, when it comes to actually following through with some of these manufacturing jobs or increasing coal jobs in America, all these campaign promises, he didn't follow through with any of them. And so he's gonna latch on to these nonsense scandals in his head in order to get his base excited to show up to the polls and vote for him. That's what he does. That's why he's reaching out to all these foreign leaders for help.
Yeah, you look at all of these calls to all these different places. I have literally never heard of a single call of Donald Trump to help create more coal jobs. Now, I wouldn't even be in favor of that. I think you should create solar jobs. They pay better, there's more of them. You could put it on top of the mountains that have been devastated in West Virginia, et cetera. But if you wanted just only coal jobs for some weird reason, no, I prefer jobs that pay less and are riskier and damage the environment. He hasn't done that either.
Right.
Right? He hasn't done anything but get tax cuts for the rich and try to help himself politically. So if that's what you're into, okay. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.